Well, welcome back to the Morning Report. Today, we're diving into a story that's not just about Tampa Bay, it's about what's happening across America. It's a quiet, powerful shift underway in our neighborhoods. Renting is becoming the new normal. Now, I'm old enough to remember when the American dream was homeownership, right? But right now, renting is becoming the new normal. Even in the suburbs, where owning a home used to be the gold standard of success, right? Let's start with a number that grabbed me by the face mask. 85.5%. That's the share of households in the university area of Hillsborough County, just outside of the city limits of Tampa, that rented their homes in 2023. That's 85.5%. Wow. That's not just a majority, that's practically everybody. That's practically 9 out of 10 people. It's a very stark contrast to what suburban life used to mean. So, what's happening here? Why is renting surging? And what does it mean for Tampa Bay families, for the middle class, and the dream of home ownership? We're going to explore these questions suburb by suburb, trend by trend, and we'll get to the bigger picture that the politicians and the big developers do not want to talk about. Now, the chart that we're looking at paints a dramatic picture. Tampa Bay's top 10 suburbs with the highest percentage of renters in 2023 were the university area with 85.5% renters, Egypt Lake-Leto at 53.1, Temple Terrace, which used to be that's where you wanted to move, right? That's where you wanted to live. That was a suburb. That was around the golf course, right? Half of the people who live there are renting. Eastlake, Orient Park, a middle class neighborhood over by Eastlake Mall. I remember, right? For those of you who lived here, this video was basically for people who live where I live. So if you're not, just hop in there because this is happening where you live too. Mango, again, a place where middle class folks owned homes, smaller homes. All those cement block 3 bedrooms or 2 bedrooms, 1 bath or 3 bedrooms, 2 bath homes. Now 57.9% of those folks are renters. Brandon, Brandon, Brandon again was like Temple Terrace. It was a gold standard, right? Now 44.4% of the people who live in Brandon are renters. Newport Richey, which is out of the area, out of the Tampa area, 43.4%, and Jasmine Estates, 42.6%, Newport Richey, 42.5%, and Cheval is where Tony Dungy lived. 42.2% of the people who live in Cheval are renting. Wow. Notice anything? Even at the quote bottom of the list, we're still looking at 40% renters. This is a tidal shift from the days when suburban communities had home ownership rates above 70 and 80%. Now, people say, "Oh, what does it matter?" Because when a majority of people rent rather than own, the entire fabric of the community changes, from school involvement to property upkeep to local politics. Homeowners have long-term stakes. All renters don't. And that's not their fault. That's the nature of renting. Now, Why was the university area at the top of the list? The university area at 85.5% rental isn't really a mystery. This is home to the University of South Florida, with tens of thousands of students. Naturally, a student heavy area will lean towards rentals. But here's the thing, not even non student housing around the university area has flipped towards renting. I mean, even non student housing has flipped towards renting. Families that might have owned homes are selling them off, often to investors, which we will refer to as vultures, who rent them out. This tells us something about who's buying homes these days. It's really not the young couple wanting to start out, it's not the working family looking to settle down. It's corporations, hedge funds, Wall Street backed companies. They buy homes in bulk and they rent them out at ridiculously high rates, driving prices up and pushing ownership farther and farther out of reach. Next on our list is the Egypt Lake-Leto area at 53.1%. And Temple Terrace, that blows me away. Temple Terrace at 51.1%. These are the inner ring suburbs. Once these neighborhoods were known for modest homes, except for Temple Terrace, around the golf course, and first-time buyers. Now they're dominated by rental properties, older apartment complexes, and built to rent. Like someone will buy, they will come in and build a house, but they never intended to sell that house. They built that house to rent it. Okay. Single family subdivision, whole subdivisions built to rent. So what's fueling the shift? Housing affordability. The average home price in Tampa Bay has skyrocketed over the last decade, far outpacing wages. For families renting, it isn't a choice. It's the only option left. Temple Terrace is particularly interesting. This used to be a middle-class haven. Teachers, small business owners, young families, and now they're more than half renters. That means a transient population with fewer people putting down roots and investing in long-term community building. Now let's look at Brandon and the middle suburbs. Looking at Brandon sitting at 44.4%, used to be a place where you moved out of Tampa to buy a home, raise kids, cut grass, that stuff, right? Plant a garden. Now, nearly half of the households are rentals. And this isn't just a sign of economic change, it's a cultural one. Part of the California effect. People moving from high cost states like California and New York are buying up Florida properties, either to live in or to rent. So if you combine that with big investment firms, you have a recipe for a shrinking pool of available homes for sale. The result, you're paying $2,000 to $3,000 a month just to rent a house in Brandon. This is the one that bothers me the most, I think, because if you live in this area, you get texts and calls on your cell phone all day long, almost every day. Hey, we're looking to buy a house in your neighborhood. Do you have are you interested in selling the property at blah 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 blah? Well, my standard response is sure. Offers start at $10 million. And that should be what you do when they call or text you. Sure, offers start at $10 million because that makes them go away. It does make them go away. I've only had a couple going, What makes you think the evaluation for your property is $10 million? And my standard answer is because it's mine. I'm kind of a jerk that way. But it's this investors class, the vultures, as I call them. They're really driving a lot of this. Companies like Invitation Homes, American Homes for Rent, BlackRock are gobbling up single family homes. They can outbid any ordinary buyer. You've heard of so many cases where someone has found a home. Grab my coffee. I'm fine. And have put an offer in, good offer, usually above asking, and then suddenly that home is snatched away from them because BlackRock or American Homes for Rent or some other or Invitation Homes or somebody else comes in with a cash offer that this simply can't be beat. This is what I call a feudal revival, a return to a system where the powerful own the land and everyone else pays rent. It's a really dangerous trend because it destroys the idea of widespread property ownership, which has been a cornerstone of American independence. If you can't own property, you have less to say about how your community is run. And politicians know this. Big corporations know this, which is why they're loving this rental boom. Now, here's the economic reality. Home prices have climbed faster than wages over the past 20 years. Add in rising interest rates, and buying a home becomes nearly impossible for younger generations. Here in Tampa Bay, or Tampa, the Tampa area, this problem is worse than in many other regions. Florida has seen explosive population growth, and with limited housing supply, prices have soared. Renting becomes the default. But renting is a treadmill. You pay every month, you're building zero equity. You're paying every month, you're building zero equity. Meanwhile, property taxes and insurance costs in Florida are through the roof. Some homeowners are cashing out and choosing to rent themselves just to avoid the headache. So what does all this mean for families? This isn't just an economic shift, it's becoming a cultural one. Community with high rental rates see lower voter turnout, less school involvement, and less neighborhood cohesion. We've been saying this for years. People live in some of these neighborhoods and they don't even know their neighbors. They don't know the family that lives next door or the house next to that. It's even happening on my block. There are some houses that have been rentals for probably 10 years, and there have been different families in and out, and we don't have any idea who these people are. None. I can't tell you. We don't have any idea who those folks are, unless they've come in and there's been a problem, and thank goodness there have been no problems really recently. But it breaks down a neighborhood cohesiveness. It really does. We moved into this neighborhood in '99, and most people had been here since the late '80s probably, and it was cool. It was cool because it was an established neighborhood with established families, and now on top of all the other things we're seeing, those folks are aging. We've had a family, a husband and wife who just recently, probably in the last couple of years, I think both of them have passed away. And no, I don't think so. I know so. They both passed away. And so now the house is someone else is living there. And we believe it's a rental. Okay. So now we had a family that had some time and some investment in the community replaced by people who don't, frankly. The real consequences for our schools, our city councils, and our future. Stable, ownership-based communities are the backbone of America. Now, renting isn't bad. Renting gives you the ability to do some stuff, and it's a great option when you need it. But when nearly half of the community rents, you lose that sense of permanence. Now, can we fix it? I don't know. What do we do first? First, stop letting corporate investors treat single-family homes like poker chips. Florida lawmakers need to get serious about limiting corporate ownership of homes. Now, the very same way they are pretty serious in a lot of these communities about if you can rent your house out for an Airbnb. Now, when the Super Bowl is here, some people say, you know what, I don't want to be around all that commotion. It's just crazy. Here's what we'll do. We'll fix up the house and we'll put it up on Airbnb and people can come and live in it. That way they don't have that way, you know, people who don't want to do with a hotel, we'll make our home an Airbnb for the week or a couple of days. And there are communities that are freaking out. No, you can't do that short term, blah, blah, blah. So if people are really jacked up about you taking your own property, your own home, and for a couple of days, you know, going on vacation somewhere else and getting paid, if they can do that, then Florida lawmakers can get on these corporations that are sweeping into Florida, buying up swaths of homes, entire neighborhoods. It's crazy. Second, we need a real pathway to ownership, not just talk. That means cutting property taxes, easing first-time buyer programs, pushing back against zoning rules that make housing unaffordable, and getting a hold of insurance costs. Homeowners insurance is ridiculous. Getting a hold of that. And third, we probably need to rethink what the American dream means. And it can't just be about renting forever. We need families that have skin in the game. And that means ownership. So, Tampa Bay, what's your take? Do you see this shift in your neighborhood? Do you see the shift in your neighborhood? Or are you renting because you want to, or because you really don't have any other choice? Please drop your comments below, share the video, and make sure that you're subscribed. Please make sure that you're subscribed. We need to talk about this, not just for Tampa Bay, but for every American city where owning a home is becoming as rare as finding a payphone. My name is Willie Lawson. This is the Morning Report. We'll see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.